Whoa, welcome to the Illuminati broadcast. I'm your host, David Moore. Hello, welcome. Alright, so we have Valifor over here, this little Pidgeot. We have Descarabia over here, this Porygon. And then we have Halahel, which is this Mewtwo, partly evil, partly good. Mewtwo and Mew. Alright, so today I'm going to talk about this lovely, great, and wonderful wheel. Let's see, it's upside down. Alright, there we go. Alright, so let's talk about this and let's kind of dive into it and figure it out. Alright, so this is going to be the mark of the beast. We got the 3 Saturns right here. So 1, 2, 3, that's 6 stars. 6 pointed stars. So 6, 6, 6. Got it? 3 Saturns. Alright, so that's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, false prophet, Antichrist, Babylon. You got these really cool ideas, okay? And these are the 4 directions. So you have north, east, south, and west. Earth, which is yellow. Air, which is green. Red is fire. Blue is water. Blue and yellow make green. When you plant a seed, let's see, you mix water and earth to create a plant, right? To create trees, to create life. And then you get this little red from the fruits and things like that. Or from like blood, etc. Fire, you cut down a tree, you can get fire. Alright, so let's see what we can work on. This is also the Torah. It's the Bible. It's the Wheel of Life. It's Feng Shui. It's Shinto, it's all the religions wrapped in one. This is the one world religion. This is Babylon. This is a great chart. It's a great way to see the world for what it really is. So in the center you have the Star of David. And at the top you have Mercury. Then you have in the east Venus. To the south is the Sun and Mars, the Moon, Jupiter. So that's 6 planets of that point of the star. Remember, you're going to be Saturn, so you're like the center, and around you are different parts of you. You can even flip this upside down, but I usually like to look at it this way, because you're going to be facing the sun, so this is what the sun would hit you with, but let's see what we got. Let's see, let's remember that Venus is the sun, Mars is the sun, and what is this? Mercury is the sun. The moon is obviously a reflection of the sun, and Jupiter is sort of a reflection as well. But we'll probably learn about that more later on. But right now we're going to learn more about these directions. So over here in the east, we have the East Star, Astara, which is known as Hathor in Egyptian mythology, and she has her bull horns, and right here is Taurus and Mercury. So we have Venus, Libra, Taurus, Mercury. Eventually I'll put in the symbols so you can see it better, but I'm just teaching you like the basics real quick. So Libra is obviously when the sun's rising in the morning, well, Venus, and Libra is like when it's hitting past the horizon in the east when it's rising. And then it starts settling up here. So then you get this Taurus because it's carrying the sun. And then you have Mercury on top, which is the sun. So that's why it's yellow, because it represents the sun and earth combined. But that's Hathor. This is her domain. And she's obviously the goddess of love. So Venus is the god of love. Aphrodite is the goddess of love. You got all these energies. But if you go into the Ars Goetia, you also have like Zephyr somewhere around here, and other dukes that are in here that represent like Cupid. Like Larahe is actually somewhere right here in the number 14. So he's represented as a green man with a bow and an arrow, and he could cause wounds. And that's kind of like Robin Hood, but it's also like Cupid. So you got these really cool mythologies going on over here. And this is represented by swords or spades. So you get this like energy, and it's usually a leaf, So yeah, it has a lot of different meanings to it. But if you go down, you're gonna pass this like Saturnian energy right here. This is usually, that's why you have a cross. because that's where Saturn rules over really strong, and he's always like dividing things. Like, this is how this works, and this is how that works. All right, so you pass this. What's next? This is the domain of fire. So in fire, you have Leo and the Sun. So the Sun and Leo, but you also have Sagittarius down here, and you have Aries and Mars. But who rules over fire, and that is an Egyptian goddess, would be Sekhmet, the war lion. So in old mythologies, you had Ishtar, Inanna, she had a guardian lion that would like obey her, but you can always see this as Hathor is Sekhmet. Sekhmet is the next goddess, and so on. And it's this cycle that you go through in a day, or months, or years, and it could be all those kind of things. So Sekhmet's down here: war, fire, destruction, and power. That's why it's so closely associated with Mars and the Sun. Remember, the Sun is both Mars and Venus. Just like you have boys and girls, they're both human beings. So, you know, you have women and then you have men. If you're transgender, that's okay, because I identify as male or female. So it doesn't matter really, like, it's all up to you, your interpretation, how you want to make it. But yeah, Mars is right here, Venus is here, the Sun is right here, copper, iron, gold. And this is like a location for the king. So Venus is the duke, the Sun is the king. And this is where you get the Lion's Gate, because you have two lions right here. So Leo in the ancient astrology, and then Leo in modern astrology. So you have this gateway. That's why people are always like, oh, you're gonna go through the Lion's Gate so you can learn something new in your life. And that does happen. And we'll kind of go through it real quick. Let's see. Right now we are in this month, Aquarius. And if you were to count 1, 2, 3, 4, today's the 4th, this is where we land on. So I'll look it up later what spirit that is, but I think that's 68. So let me see. 36 is down here, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66. So we'll look up what the spirit 66 is. I think it's Kamari. Yeah, because Kamari rules over like parts of Africa, and he's a Marquis, I think. All right, but anyways, so let's go back here to Sekhmet, and she's like this goddess war lion. Oh, okay, yeah, let's say we're going through these days, and we make it over here. Let's see. So if this is the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, like around the 16th of the month of February, that's when you're going through the Lion's Gate. So you might notice new opportunities or a new challenge or something that's happening. So this is how you use astrology. But let's remember, when you're Jewish, you use astrology, because astrology is not the stars in outer space, it's the stars here within us. The pentacle or the star represents a human being. The head, the arms, the legs, you know, we're moving around, completing God's assignment. So the universe isn't outside of us, it's inside of us, and it's with us. So we're just like this big old universe. So yeah, Sekhmet. Who's after Sekhmet? We have the water, and this is ruled by the moon. And who rules over this area? Let's think. Isis. Isis is a goddess of the moon because she goes into the underworld, she does all this stuff, she's very loving, she's kind, she uses a lot of water in her magic to heal. I think there's a story about scorpions. I'm not sure if it's Isis or Ishtar, but let's remember, all those goddesses and gods, they're all the same god. So no matter what, like Yahweh or Jehovah, they're all the same god. Baal's the same god. All of them are the same gods. They're just different phases of God. That's why he has 72 names, or like different phases that he goes through. Because just like us, God is the same way. We're made in his image. So some days God is angry, some day God is sad, some day God is happy, some day God is bored. He's going to choose what he feels like. And we can't really dictate that and be like, no, God's always like this, God's always like that. Like we know his patterns and we know his cycles, but we can't always like pin him down. But because he likes to do his own things, you know? But anyways, we have Isis down here. So this is the moon. And then, but Jupiter is also connected to the moon. So don't forget that, okay? Jupiter and Artemis are almost the same in a sense, because I guess you could say Jupiter is the prince or the prelate. So when Venus and Mars have a baby, it's going to be a prince. because they're still the sun. So anything that the sun gives you is a gift. So a prince is a gift because it's money, and people used to use them as bargaining chips to be like, all right, we're gonna have this kid with this kid, and they're gonna create a kingdom, and they're gonna keep it safe, and they're gonna have land and rule over people. And even like peasants would do the same thing. They'll be like, oh well, we have a little bit of this and they have a little bit of that, we can make more out of it. Yeah, so anyways, you have all this water energy, and I guess it's that combination. But the moon is a marquis, so it rules over the borders, and it keeps an eye out for things. So like, let's say you have a house, and outside the borders you have another house, and you have somebody living there, and they watch over your property, like at the entrance, or keep an eye on things, and it just helps you maintain law and order, and gives them a chance to move on, or to do what they need to do, or to stay, whatever it could be. So yeah, this is usually ruled by the cups. So you have swords, wands, cups, pentacles. Pentacles are diamonds, they are money, they're gold coins, etc. That's why you have these gold coins. And we have Libra down here holding these scales. Aries is right here, Mars is right here. So you have Scorpio right here, and that's the heart. And then you have Virgo right here, and that's the money or the wealth. So all the money and time you put into your life will pay off in the afterlife. And not necessarily afterlife all the time. It could be like, when you're done with the day, because this is a clock. This is 12 in the midnight, and then this would be like 6 all the way to 9. And then once it turns like 9 o'clock, then you have the evening, and then, or the afternoon, 12 in the afternoon. And that's kind of like, all right, I did all my work in the morning, and now I can kind of slowly start to rest towards the end of the day. You get what you need done, and you can finally rest. And that's why Saturn is right here, 50. The number 50. Phorcus is a knight, and he is represented by Saturn. He's the only one that's represented by Saturn. But once you pass that, then you have the rest of the day, so you're like, or the rest of the night, because this is when the sun sets. That's why Saturn's right here, and that's why it's called Set, because you have all these goddesses going through it, Osiris, and then he becomes Set, where he's finally ready to rest. And then this would be Apophis, this border, this serpent that curls around and keeps going and eating itself, which is the cycle of the sun and life. And then up here, who's next? Who do we have? We have Hathor, Sekhmet, Isis, and then this would be... Oh, I guess this could be a harp too, huh? Like King David. All right, but it's also like a book or a Bible or a tablet like Moses had. Or even the tablet or the ephod for the Levite priests. This is how they would interpret things and show them to people and teach them how to do things. But over time, it either becomes simplified, or they just get so good at it that they don't need to do it so much, or they have the Bible and the Torah to make it hard, not harder, but like give people something to digest and absolve, or like to go through and like figure things out themselves and write down what they think. That's what it's for. All right, so here we have Nephthys. So Hathor, Sekhmet, Isis, Nephthys. Nephthys is usually the goddess of the underworld, and that's what Earth is, the underworld, because you have this water, the sun setting into the water, and then you're in the earth where there's no sunlight. You have to rely on fire and your intelligence, which is Aquarius, and your fire right here, which is Sagittarius. So you're preparing for your night. This is Capricorn, and this is the middle line of Saturn. So like it's nighttime, you got to go home, you got to go rest, you got to get your sleep. This is your home, and this is stability, this is your wealth. You're gonna accumulate your wealth in your home, and I guess that's why it's kind of ruled by Mercury as well, because he's a god of thieves, and like you want to protect your home. But let's see, we have Pisces right here, which is water, and that's like nighttime, that's bedtime, because you're sleeping, you're in the sleeping realm like Neptune. So you have this Neptune, you have this Jupiter over here, Zeus, so you have Poseidon, Zeus, or Pluto down here too. So that's why like you have these 3 brothers, and they kind of come in through here too. So Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And they're all like, vying for that. They don't fight for like superiority, because they know their positions, and that's important, because it's the king's job to command. And if he has to do certain things like Ra, he's the god of the sun, so this would be, everything is his domain obviously, but this is like him. And he was like, oh snaps, like the humans aren't listening to me. So he sent out Sekhmet. He turned Thor into Sekhmet, something savage, and they had to rely on wine to like cool and satiate her, and she fell asleep, and then she woke up and she started, kept living, and she kept doing her thing instead of like hurting people so often. But that doesn't mean it can't happen again, because it will happen again, and it is happening again. Like even in our modern times, we go through a lot of tribulations. So yeah, Earth, so Nephthys, and then you go back. So that's just like a cool little quick synopsis of how this chart works, what it looks like, what to expect. This is gold, this is gold, this is yellow, 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 yellow. Blue, this is silver, silver, this is supposed to be lead, so this is Saturn. Tin, copper, iron. Mercury is mixed metals. So it can be mercury, but it can also be all different kinds of metals as well combined. And that's like the cool thing about that. So that's why it kind of combines here, and then you're weighing it out against your heart. Like, was it worth it? Is it not worth it? This is how our brain works. This is how our body works. You can also get this from the chakra, like your root, your heart chakra, your crown chakra, etc. Whatever you want to see it as. Yeah, so also in Nephthys, you're like, well, she does have like this Pisces cup thing on top of her head. Pisces is right here, so that lets you know she's standing here in the west and the north, so she's like the guardian of the underworld. And then this would be Aries right here, so that also makes sense because Exodia is Osiris, and Osiris rules over the underworld. And then obviously they come back, start the cycle again when the sun rises. Yeah, just interesting information. I think we got a good idea of what it looks like right now. For me, I like to use this to like conquer kingdoms. So we have Los Angeles here. Maybe this could be like Miami Beach over here. This is like San Fernando. This is Santa Clarita. This is Lancaster area. This is Victorville, San Bernardino, kind of going into like Ontario and Santa Fe, back to LA. And you have San Diego over here. So if you notice it in a real life, there are the Los Angeles mountains here. You have like all this like land, and it goes into water, and it goes into more land and water, and then it goes back into like this open desert almost, because that's where air travels through, and it creates a cycle around these mountains. And even if you look at like Hebrew stuff, you can see like, Jerusalem or Israel here, and then you can see like Egypt over here, but then there's water over here, and there's more land over here, and then there's the northern parts, which are like Germany and things like that. So you're like, you have all these different areas. You can even see like Europe over here. You can like kind of get an idea. It's the way the world is created. So no matter where you go, this chart will work in every single situation. It'll always match this. It is like where synchronicity begins and where you can interpret it. So yeah, that's pretty cool, right? So when you're playing shogi, you have your king right here, and then you have your gold general and your silver general. So this is obviously the moon, so it's silver. This is gold, so that's your gold general, and then that's you're the king. And your job is to like cross this passing of the river, this border, to be able to conquer the next island or the next land. So I like to use this for like almost like a spirit board or a Ouija board, but on all combined onto this, and always it's always right. It's never wrong. It's always right. So it always knows the answer. It always has the answer. It's perfectly designed to never be wrong. And it's perfectly designed to answer any question. That's why it's called the Key of Solomon, because it opens the door to all the answers, all the solutions. There's this little star pentagram that they wear on their chest that says Soluzen, and that means solution. Yeah, so you get all these different like mythologies, these ideas, these elements, these hierarchies, and that's really cool that you can do all that with just this. Like let's say you're like, why is a president and why is it Earth? Well, he's Mercury, and his job is to go through the wind and be able to go through the fire and through the water and back up and around. So if you ever summon a president, he can do that. He can always appear whenever you need him. Saturn can do the same thing because Saturn is heavy like the Earth. So he can go through all these elements anytime he wants, I think, except for twilight, and that's because it's like a time of rest, and he needs a moment of rest. So that's why you have like the Sabbath, etc. Yeah, so this explains a lot. Like the tabernacle, I think the other day I mentioned, This would be what the tabernacle would look like. So you're entering through the east, and you're going through all of this. This is where the center is, like those little brazen bulls that where they sacrifice things, and this is the Holy of Holies area, or where the temple would be. And this is how they built the temple. And so another thing would be, if you notice a lot of stories and Bible stories and explanations about how the temple's supposed to look like and how it felt, he's explaining the Bible basically. Like I think in the story with Solomon, there's a kid and he's like sucking his thumb, and like he never gets stronger, and there's a demon always attached to him. And that's kind of this, because it's like no matter what he does, like God is still like suffering in a sense, and he needs to find a way to help God. So he builds God a temple so that way God can move through the world and get his job done, get people, like give them that chance to reach out to God, because God is very powerful and he's willing to destroy anything. So with my story, I love to be God. So I have a God complex, that messianic figure, and I enjoy it. So if anything, I could be the God, the devil, an angel, a demon, like I could be all of that. And any human can be. But I like to do this thing like a Shaman King tournament, where I go out and I do spiritual warfare, and I get what I want through my life because I'm showing that I have the authority over the spirits. And that's really cool to do too. All right. Yeah, so I'm always looking for new warriors, so if you want to join, hallelujah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I really like this water idea. We're here on the 4th, so 1, 2, 3, 4. If you were to go around it, that'd be 31 days, and it would land back on top of that again, and then you go on to the next month, which would be over here in Pisces, which is going to be March, right? February, March. And it can help you, like, let's say you have an appointment or something, or a day planned, you'd be able to like divulge more information on it. Yeah, and these are like the tarot cards. Obviously, you have your swords, you have your wands, your cups, your pentacles. And these are all different genies. They're all different gods. They're all different animals, all different spirits. Some are combined, some are like solid. It's an elemental table, but for spirituality and reality. It's the key to life, the key to the answer to the world. So this is, I think, like, you know, in Revelations when they're like, who's worthy enough to open the scroll and release the 7 stars and whatever, the 7 bowls. This is all of that. This is Revelations. So yeah, you get this really cool little game, but I want to make it where you play and you roll your dice. So like, let's say you land on a 4. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. So you'd be somewhere here. And then I'll make you roll again, and let's say you get, so there would be like, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I don't know. You would roll the dice again, but you'll land up somewhere around here. Well, this is where your destination is going to be. So like, let's say you're over here. You have to find out how to get here. And you're like, I think I'm going to have spades be able to move, like maybe twice a space, but I'm going to have like, wands be able to attack around them. I'm gonna have like hearts be able to heal one of your points of damage, and I think your 6 points of damage will be like your wealth. So like you'll lose money or you'll gain money, and the hearts can help you make or lose. But then you have the pentacles, which are going to be for defense. So like, let's say this one hits it, instead of just killing it outright, it'll be able to take a hit. Or if this one tries to hit it, it'll have to attack twice before it actually hurts it. And the same for this one. And this one I'm gonna have like be able to do like hit and runs. You'll be able to hit somebody and run, hit and run, hit and run, different things like that. So we got a really cool story here evolving before our very eyes on how, like, you know, because Israelites and Hebrews, they're warriors. They're like a warrior tribe. That's why you have the line of Judah down here. But yeah, so that's just a little message for today, and I'll work on more ideas and like let's see what else we can come up with. So thank you, goodbye.